So I am super excited today to get started. I have got Jimmy Dozier from Lake Tahoe who is joining us. And I think I actually met Jimmy from this webinar series. He's always like someone that's regularly attended, and we started following each other a while back, and I've seen his account just really kind of like take off and explode. He's doing very cool things on Instagram right now, and so I wanted to bring him on as a guest to talk about what he's doing. And if you're not following him, I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a second, but I just wanted to show you his account. So he is on Instagram, Tahoe Lifestyle Group, has over 23,000 followers, which is incredible. And he does really awesome things with property tours. I'm just going to show you an example of one.
You could be living right here in the Tahoe Keys neighborhood with two boat docks right here. Access to Lake Tahoe doesn't get any easier than this. So let's step inside, check this place out. Welcome to.
All right, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but what I want to show you is he has almost over 3,800 likes on this video, and then 231 comments on it, and it's people asking for information and details. I mean, some people are just commenting about the price and whatever, but you're getting also like a lot of hand raisers is what I think is super cool. So I will let you tell us a little bit about your team and kind of what you do. What is your team like, first of all, and just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy Dozier. I'm in Lake Tahoe, California, kind of on the south side. So we also do the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe as well. And yeah, I'm just a normal person like all of you that has somehow found success on Instagram. And I think what I do is very repeatable. There's a lot of people doing it out there, and that's what kind of attracted me to it. So I found a way to do it that fits into my niche, and through that, I've gotten some success from it.
And can I ask, as
I
far as
have been in real estate.
go ahead.
Sorry?
No, go
I've been in
ahead.
real estate since 2018. It's just me and my wife on a team. We're the Tahoe Lifestyle Group. My wife has been in real estate since 2010, so I kind of came aboard about 6 years ago. And yeah, for the longest time, we've been doing social media for a long time, but we never really generated much leads from it. We were just doing the typical thing, a couple things around town, posting our just solds, just pendings, new listings, stuff like that that you see from everybody, but not really getting much success, much engagement from that. And it was a year and a half ago that 2 years ago, we joined Reel, and that was kind of when the wheels started turning. I started seeing a lot of people on Instagram that I really admired. And I figured out a few things that I really liked to do. So there was a conference this was in 2023, the Real Estate Video Blueprint.
Yeah.
And in that conference, they had Tyler Hassman do his thing like this and kind of show how he does his home tours as well. And I didn't go to that conference, but we did a recap here as a webinar. And I just kind of dissected that and figured out exactly what he was doing, and heard that he was so successful in his first year and a half doing these videos and generating like 92 deals out of that I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. That's something that I think I can do. And I already had a little bit of a knack for editing and a little bit of knack for filming. So I was like, let's give this a try and see how it works.
Awesome. I think
Yeah.
I was at that conference as well. I got to see Tyler Hassman speak. You could drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been to Real Estate Video Blueprint. This is an event. It's thrown by Katie Day and Tim Macy every year. Anyone? If you have not, you definitely need to check it out. They have their own Instagram account or Instagram account as well. And I think it's just at real estate video blueprint. Check it out. This year it's going to be in San Antonio. I think sometime in April for a couple of days, but it's just all completely just about video and what's working. And it's all agent led, which is really, really cool. And then Tyler Hassman, in case you want to check out, since you name dropped a couple of people, just check out Tyler Hassman as well. And then he's kind of the inspiration. But what I love about what you did is that you heard something at a conference and you actually implemented it. Because we go to
I didn't even
conference
go to the conference
and you
too.
didn't even
I
know.
just heard it in a recap,
Yeah.
and it just kind of resonated with me really well. And I felt it was something actionable I could do at the time, you know?
So
Because
tell us
it
a
was
little bit about like the home tours that you're doing. Like what did what style did you or choose based on what you saw with Tyler?
so let me see if we can go ahead and share my screen. So what I like doing, ooh, get rid of this bar at the top. Sorry, I need to get into my Instagram here. All right, there we go. Everybody see that a little better?
You're good.
All right. So what I like to do the best is to do a home tour video that is fluid. I
Mhm.
think this is kind of the most authentic way to do a home tour. And I get so many comments at how well this is done and how realistic and raw it makes a home look. I think a lot of things these days are kind of done very cinematic, where you chop clips up, you show a lot of close-ups, but you don't really get a real vision of what the house is like. So I think it's really important to show in a different perspective what a home looks like. And if you do kind of a fluid style home tour, you can see it really feels like you're walking through it. So here's one that I did of a recent listing of mine.
So can I ask, are you filming this yourself? Like, what is the process? Like, are you using your iPhone or how are you actually filming it?
I got the audio playing on mine. Do you guys hear the audio too?
Not on our end, but we can
It
still.
never works that well when you replay it. Yeah.
It's all right. Then we can still get the gist of it. But it's basically you're narrating. You're like, here's what 799 gets you in whatever, or in Lake Tahoe. Um, I'm just curious about how you're filming it. Is it you doing it yourself or just iPhone equipment?
I am doing everything myself.
Okay.
It's all done on an iPhone, and it's even an older, shittier iPhone. It's an
Mhm.
iPhone 12. I don't have the latest and greatest. This works just fine. I'm actually excited when I get to the chance to get a newer iPhone at how much better it'll look. But I use an iPhone and I use a DJI gimbal like
Okay.
this to connect your phone to. And this gets you to walk through the house and do things very smoothly.
And then as far as narrating, do you just do a voiceover? Because sometimes you're just kind of like in the front waving and then it looks like you just flip the camera around. Do you do your voiceovers afterwards or are you narrating it as you go?
So when I do a video like the one you just saw, that one is a voiceover. There are a lot of videos where I do talk as well. I find it easier to do a voiceover sometimes,
Yeah.
and I don't see much difference in the amount of engagement that you get. So either way works, but I think the most important thing is most of the time you do show up on camera for your hook, at least in the beginning. The first 8 to 12 seconds are kind of the most important part of the video. So showing up and showing your face, or if you don't show your face, just doing your voice. This is how people connect with you.
Yeah. No,
So
I
here's
agree.
kind of another example where I talk in front of the camera, and
What I like about this one is this is a price drop or a price adjustment video. So it's also just a fun way if you have a listing that's gone kind of stagnant and it's like,
Yeah, that's another thing I like to do. And then what I have found works really well is throwing little tidbits of local stuff in the hook in the beginning of it. So like for in that case, this is what 405,000 gets you in so and so neighborhood, and it's close to this, this, and this. I think on the consumer side, the best hook that you can do out there for a video is this is what X gets you and Y. If you do this in your own town, this is what 700,000 gets you in this area. This is what 500,000 gets you in this area. And oh, by the way, it's close to this, this, and this. Though that is what the consumer loves. They love to see that stuff.
so talk about, I mean, I'm just looking at this, like I'm usually think a reel is great if I get like 4 or 5,000 views on it. I mean, some of this is like 315,000. This is insane amounts of views and traffic. Where did you,
This first one right here I posted last night,
yeah,
and it's got 15,000 views on it already.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
When would you say your account kind of transformed, or like how long did it take you to do these videos before you started seeing this kind of, results on it?
Perfect. I'd love to show you. I'm gonna take you back to the beginning where it all started.
Okay.
Because it really wasn't that long ago.
There's your wife on camera.
Um, yeah. So this is we're going back to about April of 2023. This is my very first video right here. This one. This is what 775 gets you. Um,
39
Prior
likes.
to that, you can kind of see what my grid looked like. It was all over the place. We were showing family stuff a lot more. My wife was on camera a lot more back then, showing local restaurants, us skiing, and this was good stuff. It kind of resonates locally, but we never got any business from it. Um, it was right here that this is kind of where I got inspired, and this is when I did my very first video. And my first video only got 1,200 views, you know, and that's not that much, but the next one got 4,000. This one got 1,800. Um, I started noticing a little bit of, regularity in it. I was like getting a few comments, getting a few shares, um, getting they started getting a little more I was getting 3,000, 4,000 views here and there. And I did a couple of more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then right here was the first video I did that kind of went a little viral. And this was a local video too. So this is another great piece of content that's important to do is hyper local, anything that nobody's really going to know about, but it's something that's interesting with your town. So this was just a fishing video I did with my kids. I think you're muted, Shannon.
I just said very intelligent, important stuff. Let me try again. Let me see. So I was gonna say, who is your main audience that you think is you're attracting? Because I know Lake Tahoe is also vacation area. Is it people that are um like exploring the area, thinking of visiting? Is it actual like homeowners, locals?
Yeah. So it's kind of always evolving, I would say. Majority of the owners and the buyers in my town are second homes. We're a vacation destination, one of the top destinations in the United States. So it's primarily a second home market and a vacation market. Um, Although my ideal client is actually trying to find primary people, families, and people that are like me. I think that's one of the coolest things about Instagram is that you will find your tribe as you're doing your own videos. You'll find people that resonate with you, and the people that are attracted to you are the ones that are going to reach out to you. So doing more content for your ideal client is the best way to go about things. Um, there are times that I didn't do content for my ideal client, and I got a lot of leads that I didn't really want to have. um, but anyways, so after I did this video here, it was about 5 more videos that I did these 3 home tours right here, that all got 100,000, 200,000 views. This was only about 20 videos into this whole experience. And that was when I actually started getting real business, was right then. I from these 3 videos is when I actually started getting people reaching out into my DMs saying, hey, do you have any more info on this property? When can I come take a look at it? Um, just started generating a lot of conversations at that point. And follower count started increasing dramatically at that point too. Um,
A couple of questions in the chat. I just want to go into a couple of these things. One is asking, are these mostly your listings? Are you going into other agents' listings with permission, or how are you finding all these homes?
Let me pull up the chat because I didn't have that yet. So most of these were other people's listings.
Mhm.
For the most part, that's what I was doing. There were a few listings that was mine, but no, I'm in a small market. Last year, I think I had 5 listings total. So no, like in the beginning, I think the important thing is to go out there and do maybe like 2, 3 videos a week. The more you can do, the better in the beginning, because eventually one of them will kind of hit. But I was in the beginning, I reached out to the 2 biggest agents in town and I was like, hey, I've got this idea. I want to start doing these videos. You mind if I do a couple of your listings? Because if I figured if I got the 2 biggest agents in town, then I'd be set for a little while. You know, if they gave me the okay, then it'd be easy to do more and more in the future.
Awesome. And I think Tyler Hassman said the same thing when he got started. He was like brand new. He didn't have any listings, but he just went and showcased everyone, and he ended up closing like 60 deals in his first year of real estate. And he didn't have anything, but it was just getting all the people looking at it on his channel, which is awesome. I just love the consistency. So are you posting, you said like 2 to 3 of these per week? Like what's your cadence right now?
Back then when I started, I was doing about 3 a week, sometimes 4 in the
Okay.
beginning. And it only took about a month and a half to do those first 20 videos to where I actually started getting people reaching out and wanting to see properties with me or just ask questions.
Awesome.
My cadence now has been a little bit slower. I've had a kind of busy year, so I've kind of toned it down a little bit. Also, I've had listings that have been lingering on the market, so I've kind of focused more on my listings this year than doing other people's. But I think a good cadence is about 2 a week, 3 if you can. But the most important thing is to do what you can do and not get burned out. So finding whatever works for you, yeah, I think is the best thing to do.
I think I've heard that same advice from everyone. I would say the same thing. Like you can get burned out if you're like a video a day. If you can't do it, you're just gonna quit. So consistency is whatever you can stick to. But I agree. I think like 2 to 3 videos is where my account started getting more business. It's nowhere near what yours is. But I love just the success of doing these home tours and not having to come up with all the like creative, all the kind of outside the box things. It's like you have a system that works and it's very
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah.
I found success doing this. I love all the creative stuff. I do want to do more of that. It's just it's once you get in a rhythm of doing something, and it's when I go and do these videos, I can go and film 3 in a day if I want to. Um, it only takes me about 15 minutes at each house, and then maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes to edit it when I get back home. So I can kind of whip that out pretty fast. When I try to do something creative, that's going to take a lot more wheels turning to kind of figure things out, you know?
But my point is it's working. Like, I'm not saying you have to do the creative stuff. I just like that you found a thing that works and you've kind of like systemized it where you're like, this is how I started, this is what I do, and like here's my hook and everything. And I mean, if it's working, like you said, why change it up? Just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Question real quick from Tony. Tony's got his hand
Yeah,
up.
go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, you handle Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
Um, one thing, especially with my town, insightfulness is usually what Google doesn't know. And I remember reading not too long ago that Lake Tahoe is technically a dormant, like a dead dormant volcano, and that lake is as deep as the mountain is high. So when you look at the whole mountainous area of Lake Tahoe and you cut a ditch like this all the way down to the base, that allegedly it's as deep as the mountain is high and maybe even
Yeah.
deeper. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's true.
I think it's the second deepest lake in the United States. It's like
Yeah.
15, it's like this 1,500 feet, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know, like, that's kind of a cool fact and also shows insightfulness. So when, besides houses, like I've told someone that and they go, what? They go, my mom has a house up there. I go, it's okay. It's just saying that lake is really deep. And they just did a video with a little submersible robot to go all the way down to try to look at the bottom. And I have to watch the rest of it. But that's something you probably could like have the video here and you're like pointing to it and talking about it just for something fun and different. I just want to throw that in because it's say like Tahoe and I'm like, oh, I think I know something.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of kind of
Yeah,
crazy
just
history
to
and
help.
theories up here. Appreciate it.
Let's see. Any other questions in here?
Why
It's
did you choose Insta versus YouTube? Um, I am a much bigger fan of short form video. I don't necessarily have the bandwidth to do YouTube. Um, I recently just started, but I'm only right now doing YouTube advertising. Um, that is so like I'll make a listing video for YouTube and then I'll put a little bit of money behind it and I will hyper focus that on the neighborhood that the listing is in. So that's a video that's targeted for sellers. That's kind of the main reason why I haven't gone into organic YouTube is because my goal is to attract more sellers. So I think for the most part, YouTube is great at attracting buyers because it's usually relocation channels that work well, at least from what I've heard. But for the most part, I don't have the bandwidth. I like the short form content better. I can push it out much faster.
I also think it's important to start with whatever platform. Like if you're just getting into video and social, pick the platform that you use the most or that you're most comfortable with to get started. So that's why I also picked Instagram. I finally have started getting a lot of business on my YouTube channel, but it was like a big lesson learned. So what you said about ads, one mistake I made on my YouTube was I was trying to put everything on there, kind of like with Instagram. I was make educational stuff, listing videos, whatever. If you're going to do ads, it's super important to have a separate channel that's ads only. So I have all my listing stuff seller directed that I do run ads on just to kind of promote my listings. But then I have like a separate channel that's more like neighborhood tours and things like that that's attracting buyers. So if anyone wants to go down that path, that's another discussion later. But yeah, I like the fact that you have a different audience and you know your purpose on YouTube. I think that's super important. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
James is asking
Um,
in the chat about getting agents that don't want to share their listings, like any conversation or something, or have you ever experienced that?
where agents don't want me to do their listings. Yeah. Yeah, it happens. It's gonna happen. Um, for the most part, I think I'm pretty grateful. It's a pretty small town where I live, so we kind of all know each other and know the agents. I've only found, I think, two that didn't really understand what I was doing, and it's not that they didn't want me to do it; they just didn't really understand what it was, and they're not into social media. So, um, you'll find the people that will work with you. For the most part, everybody typically loves it, and as long as you present the property in an appropriate manner, um, and you're not trying to do anything negative with it. And then I always, if they have a handle, I tag them. If they want, I haven't done many of these, but if they want to collaborate and be there in the video, I'm totally open to that too. So um, I think the important thing is, yeah, just finding people that you like to work with and do their properties. But also, I think what's important too is to do properties that you are interested in and you are passionate about. I found that my niche and what I'm passionate about is cabins. It's also what is the biggest seller in my town. So, kind of in a certain price range, like cabins between 500 and $1 million is like the big thing. That's what everybody's kind of looking for. So that's sort of like the ideal client. And the more videos you do about that, you're more likely to attract people. Like, when you see a home come on the market and you're like, ooh, that's a good one. That one's going to go fast. I try to go for that home. I try to get a video of that property because I know that it's going to perform well as well.
I love that. All the advice I've heard from real estate coaches or just Instagram coaches, not even real estate, is to get into a specific niche. And I love the fact that, I mean, you already narrowed down like your market, you've narrowed down the price point, and then you're looking for mostly buyers here is who you're attracting. And then it's also the style of home. It's like you're so specific. And I think that is super important. It's might seem contrary, but it's when your account's really broad, it's not really aimed at anyone. But if you have a consistent style, it's going to attract more and more of those buyers. And if they see consistently, you're the guy with all the cabins in Lake Tahoe, it's like obviously you're going to start attracting more and more of that client. And I feel like it's also easier to talk about something that you're passionate about. So I just love that. And that's why I love Instagram, because you can kind of attract whoever you want and just make it fun and, make it work for you.
Yeah, I think it's important to, kind of be authentically yourself when you're doing these videos, either in your introduction or the way you look. Like people know me as the guy that wears the hat and the glasses. Whenever I meet clients in person from Instagram, that that's what you're gonna see. I'm not looking any different. Like that's my kind of avatar, as you would say it. So when people get out of the car and they come, they're like, "Oh, yeah, he looks just like that," and
Awesome.
you already feel comfortable.
Let's start with the other thing I always ask people is starting conversations. So let's say you've got all these big videos out there. Do you have a process on how you handle inquiries or DMs, or, how do you get people actually talking and connecting with you?
Um, so for the most part, I end most videos by saying, let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions, send me a DM or ask for more info. So people, when they reach out in the DMs, I'll just engage them. I'll try to answer whatever questions they have. I'll send them a link to my website and so that they can see the full listing detail. And then the more conversations that you generate in the DMs, the more conversion that you have. So it's kind of about casting a wide net and then seeing what kind of conversations you have and then taking it from there, moving it over to email, moving it over to texting, and ultimately meeting in person, hopefully.
Yeah. I think DMs is the worst place to linger. It's like they get messy. So to me, it's like however quickly you can get the person like on the phone in your CRM or something like that. Because especially if you're getting the kind of volume that I think you're getting, that's going to definitely be harder to manage. Do you use anything like mini chat? I noticed on some of them, you're like, drop the word this and get details.
I just started doing that like 3 videos ago.
Okay.
So I'm very late to the game on mini chat. So I'm kind of testing that out right now to see how it works.
Yeah.
For the most part, I have been directly engaging everybody one-on-one and not using that. So I'm still in the kind of beginning phases of figuring that out. But there are times that I've gotten like 100 DMs from one video, and it's just like not manageable, you know? So
That's what I was wondering is how are you managing it? If I just dropped the word mini chat in there, if you signed up on this webinar from my Instagram video where I say drop the word webinar, it's using mini chat. So you get a little auto thing that's like, here's the link, and you get an auto reply. So that's something you can look in if you're getting lost with DMs and you're like, I need something to manage it. That could work. Do you use stories at all? A lot of people find engagement in their stories. Or how do you have a strategy for using Instagram stories?
a little bit, this is where I need to improve. Um, where's my archive? One of the things I like to do is I'll repost my reel and then I'll put a link in the story for the full details.
Okay.
Um,
And is that
let me
taking
show
them to
you.
a website or where is that taking them?
Yes, that will take them directly to my website
Okay.
to see the listing detail and to see anything else they want. So, for instance, like usually like the brand new listings are the ones that do best.
Yeah.
So just a short little intro like this for like a new listing. Um, and you can see here, this one had 125 links that were
Oh, wow.
clicked for that story. So that's one of the things that I like to do. I
And
would
then
love to get better at stories and more consistent,
on
but
your website, does it force them to like, do you have something where it captures their info then where they have to register to see more listings or?
no, not really. I don't like to do the forced registration.
Yeah.
Um, I just like them to kind of get the info that they want, and then if they want to reach out to me, they can. Once again, it's kind of there's some ways that I feel like I can get better at this to capture more leads, and that's kind of what's exciting, is that I think I can improve a lot on this as well. I've already had pretty good success, but um, yeah, I just like to attract the people that want to work with me, and they usually reach out directly after that.
Awesome. Yeah, and any of these little polls are great too. So I mean, it's like I've been doing some where it's like, where are you right now? Like, or what are you waiting for? And it's like rates going to fives, fours, whatever. And whatever people vote, you can go back and message them. Because I'm finding I'm just looking at your example right there about rate drops. You know, it's like whatever they say, you can start conversations sometimes that way. If someone's like, hey, I'm waiting for it to go in the fours, like right now we have new construction builders that are already in the fours. So it's just kind of, asking them a question like, what if you could get in the fours right now? Or what have you considered new builds or whatever? But sometimes those kind of polls can do really well. But I mean,
Yeah.
125 link clicks is awesome. Like the volume of attention that you're getting is amazing on these videos.
Yeah. Usually the link clicks, those are always really good. I think it's important to be more personal in your stories. You do a really good job of it, Shannon. Um, these sharing the reels don't always do great. The raw ones, like the one I just showed you, that's kind of like a new video, really short 20-second one. Those ones do pretty well. And then anytime you just like show things around town, like this is the other day, just like me and my kids, these perform really well. And it's also a good way to just like kind of connect with the community, is just showing something that's local.
It's also a great way for the audience to know you because they may just know, okay, you're the guy that does the house tours, but to also make you more relatable. Your stories are generally shown to your followers, so you don't get a ton of non-followers. And usually viewing it, your feed is more open to the public, but it's a way of giving people insight of like, oh, he's married, he has kids. Oh, look, this is where he lives, that kind of thing. And then again, you can showcase just the local lifestyle. Whatever you're doing for fun on the weekend, to me is great content because it's probably showing people how they can enjoy, the area you live in, as well. All right. Any last advice for people that are maybe wanting to try the same thing to start getting into home tours? What advice, like, are there lessons or mistakes you made along the way that you would want to warn people about or?
One thing I would say, I'm trying to look at my notes here, is it's really important to be active in your comments, I think. When you post a video and you get a lot of engagement, don't just post and ghost it. It's really important to be there. I think this is where you can add a lot of value too. For instance, if I do a video where I don't talk a lot, if I just do a quick intro and then I play some music with the home, um, when you get comments, try to comment back in a way that adds value or gets them to re-engage, and also show your knowledge of the area. Like one of the most common comments I usually get is about short-term rentals or about home insurance in the area. I answer it all the time, but those are really important to just like show that you're knowledgeable about the area, and also just kind of being a little funny, a little quirky, showing your personality in the comments really helps as well. I can't tell you how many times I've seen like in my little notifications on Instagram, like, oh, so and so liked your comment, so and so started following you, you have a new DM, you know? Like your comments are a really good way to engage as well. And I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah. And that's something to be mindful of, because I know sometimes if you're like uber successful, sometimes people will have like a social media manager or whatever. And I do think it's important that even if you have someone helping post, that you at least get in there when it's posted and spend some time nurturing your own social media as much as possible, because it is important to at least hear your voice or feel like they're actually talking to you. So I think you do a really great job of that. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Other questions.
Also, I think that most people that will transact with you will be completely silent for the longest time until they're ready to reach out. A lot of times the people in the comments are not your followers, and they are not your ideal client necessarily. Most of these people will stay completely silent until they're ready to reach out and send you a DM, and they're ready to go for it. Like I've had transactions that have gone from DM to showing houses in a matter of a couple of days to being under contract, you know? So that's just something to think about. Like you can get really hung up on a lot of the haters that will be in your comments. But the haters kind of feed the algorithm a little bit. They help boost your content a little bit, but they're not your clients. So it's just something to remember.
If you have haters, you're doing something right, because people like to hate on
Yeah.
successful people.
Yeah.
Like that's a good thing.
And that's kind of one of the things I like to do is like I'll often show very controversial homes. You know, affordability is very controversial. Showing like what is the least expensive home in town, you know, and those are often some of the highest performing videos that I have, because people love to engage about affordability, about something that's controversial, but that will also lead to clients as well. People will reach out to you for that as well.
Cool. Tracy says, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I agree with that. We can turn it open. We've got like 20 minutes left for Q&A. If anyone wants to ask Jimmy a question about anything, just raise your hand, or you can just come off mute and ask.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Karen in Oakland, California, very close to you.
Hey, Oakland, what's up?
Yeah. So two questions. One is, um, so is it your name versus, so I'm Karen Kramer Holmes, right? But my YouTube is living in Oakland, CA. Do you think that is your name Tahoe style? Is that what is attracting everything? And everyone should kind of do that if they want to make Instagram their business versus keeping it as a branded name?
Not necessarily. Everything that I have heard is that it's actually better to keep your name personal. Like you don't need a realtor account and a personal account. You can kind of do it all in one. So if you have your personal Instagram account, I would probably go with that versus the name of your real estate or name of your group. I've always thought of switching, but I've found success just leaving it the same. So I've kind of kept it there.
I guess what I'm saying is, are people finding you because you are the Tahoe lifestyle versus Jimmy Dozier?
Um, I think that that might be some of it. Like it's very searchable. In my profile, it's Tahoe Lifestyle Group, Nanda and Jimmy Dozier, Realtors in Lake Tahoe. It is very important to have that in your title because that is searchable in your profile. That's one of the most searchable things.
Yeah, and Karen, I just
Other
looked at.
than that,
Go
I'm
ahead.
like I'm like the only one in my area doing it. No one else is really doing any content in my area or doing home tours. So it's it's pretty easy to find me if you search any realtor in Lake Tahoe. It'll find me pretty quickly.
If I can add a suggestion, Karen, also, I just quickly looked at your account on the top or on like in your bio. You can look at mine also, but I'll have like Shannon and Tyler managing because we're a husband-wife team. And then I have a little line and it says Austin, Texas Realtors. So anything in the first line in your bio is searchable. So if you want to use your name account, because probably you get a lot of referrals and people looking you up, to see who you are, but at least put your city out to the side of it too in that first line, because then you're showing up both ways. And on my replays, I have a YouTube account that is linked in my bio as well, where you can watch all these replays. But I did one a while back with Marie Lee in Tennessee, and she talked about the perfect Instagram bio. That was an awesome session. And she has a lot of pointers in there, just helping you get more discoverable in your own local community.
And then on the editing side, do you, I noticed that first one, you kind of go in high on the area and then you kind of go into the house. Are you using a drone and you're kind of doing that yourself?
I am, yes. But you don't need to. I literally just got a drone like 3 weeks ago, and I've only done it for I think 3 videos now. For
Okay.
the first entire year and a half, I never had a drone. All I did was with the gimbal and my iPhone, and that's it.
And your average length of a home tour on Insta is how long?
You're only allowed a max of 90 seconds, so I think it's best to keep it close to the 1 minute mark. I like to keep it around 60 seconds for bigger homes, a little bit more maybe. But the shorter, the sweeter is usually better.
And are you changing your hashtags all the time?
No, I usually do about 8 or 9 hashtags that are all the same, and I just copy and paste it. I don't think hashtags make a big difference. If you just put your general area, real estate, stuff like that, it works. Don't focus on the hashtags. Don't focus on trending audios as well. I've completely debunked that. Most of the audio I use is music I like, is music that's relatable to me. I use a lot of kind of alternative, old school hip hop. And that's also another way that you can connect with people as well, is through the music that you use. I get comments all the time like, oh, this is a great tune, da da da.
And lastly, and when you're shooting and you're going in, you said it takes about 15 minutes for each one because you kind of mastered it. Are you stopping and starting, or are you kind of doing it in one shoot? And then when you are editing, you're just speeding up or cutting and chopping then?
Yes. So if I'm doing a straight home through tour, which is what I mostly do, I do about 4 clips. I do one intro at the beginning, going up to the front door, and then stop there. And then you transition to the inside, do the whole first floor or whatever it is, or just the kitchen living area, go outside to the backyard, run around, come back in, and then do the rest of the house and then back out. So you can do it in a way that makes it look very fluid, like it is one clip, because you can do these like pull throughs where you go through a door on the transitions. And then that way it makes it a lot easier to film, because it's really difficult to kind of plan all your shots in an entire house all in one. But usually when I get to a house, I kind of map out what I'm going to do, and then I go ahead and do it.
And are you using CapCut or no?
All CapCut.
Great.
Yeah. And then I just go back in and I use the speed ramp setting to speed up the parts that are transitioning shot to shot and slowing it down for the ones that aren't.
And if y'all want to learn CapCut, I dropped a link in there. All of these sessions are so awesome every month, and I always I get more from hosting this webinar than anything. That's why I'm doing it, is I'm always learning from people. But I've had Ian Williams on here twice. He was the guest last month, and he did a session a while back called the CapCut Edits You Need to Know. He did a part 1, part 2. So if you're just like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, it's like, okay, I got to get a gimbal. I need to learn CapCut. There's some tutorials and some sessions that he did as well that kind of simplify CapCut, so it's not quite so overwhelming. I think a couple of people want to know, are you going to be at the Rise conference in October?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I can't make it. I haven't done to any conferences yet. That's something on my list for the future. But I got 2 little kids, and it's just difficult. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Any other questions for Jimmy? We had
Is that in the,
yeah.
how often should we post real video clip on social media? Yeah, 2 to 3 posts per week, I think is good. Mix in some stories if you can, but I don't think doing too much is necessary. 2 to 3 a week works pretty well.
I would say the same from my experience. My account started growing when I started doing like 3 a week or so, but do whatever's consistent. And stories are gold. So, I mean, just posting what you're doing throughout the day in your stories adds to consistency.
Basically misconceptions around TV advertising. The first one is that it costs millions. Not true anymore. Like even $10.
There we go. All right. Any other questions for Jimmy? Oh, someone says bring
My
your
kids.
right? And they'll babysit.
Yeah. I'd like to just give a shout out to some of the people that sort of inspire me. And this is what I mean by this is a very repeatable process. If you look around the country, there's a ton of different people that are doing this. So Tyler Hassman, for one, up in Canada, check out his profile. Coffee with Coleman. Has anybody seen him? John Coleman out of DC Metro?
I'm not.
Oh, Shannon, you got to check it out.
I'm always looking for new accounts that inspire me as well. So this is cool.
Yeah. And what you'll see with all these people is they all have their own personality, and that's kind of why they do well, I think. John Coleman, his tag is Coffee with Coleman. You had her on here earlier, Ksenia Korkova, right? From Tampa?
No,
You know
I have not. Yeah, I know who she is, but no, I have not yet. Oh, sorry.
Kyle Huckabee out of Oregon. He's awesome. He's kind of like one of my favorites right now. Yeah, there you go. Matt Patullo and Roland Osage, Matt Patullo is doing really good home tours right now that I really like. Really cool, very interesting houses. I think that's one way to really get people is to do these really interesting kind of character style houses. For me, it's cabins, but for him, it's more like Victorians and mid-century moderns and stuff like that. So everybody kind of has their own niche and like what works for their own area. And I think that's important. There's a guy out of Austin right now, Andres Bustamante. He does some really cool home tours too. I've seen that recently. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. I think that's so important though that you get, like I said, I hate the idea of just copying what other agents do. Sometimes Tom Ferry is just like rip off and duplicate, but I'm like, you got to put your own little personal stamp on it. So it's like, okay, I like the home tours, but like you said, just having your hat, the fact that you're kind of casual, you're waving in the front, it's like you have your own little style that's you and your personality shines through, but you can get inspiration on how other people are kind of doing the same thing, but just put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
As to wrap up, if y'all would just drop in the comments like the best thing you learned or maybe what you're going to do or take away from this session, just so Jimmy has good feedback as well. Just drop that in the chat.
Thank you, Shannon. Another great guest you had. Jimmy, thank you for your time. And Shannon, of course, you're so generous with your time and trying to teach the rest of us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. James is one of my favorite people out in Arizona if you need referrals that way. He did a really great job for a couple of clients that I had.
Thanks for the plug.
I love Karen's takeaway, just be raw and yourself and don't overthink. I think sometimes we look at some of the like super mega teams that have, you know, make 100 million, and they have all the professional camera and lighting and crew. And it's like, you can just do it with your phone. It just takes a little sweat equity.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a huge fan of that. I think eventually I'll get to the point where maybe I use a videographer, but I love DIYing things. I love doing things myself. It's kind of my creative side to be able to make these videos. And then also the return on investment is huge, you know. I have not, everything has been organic. I have not spent one dime in advertising on Instagram. So it's pretty awesome on the return.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. If you have further questions afterwards, you can reach out to Jimmy. Make sure you follow him. And you can also connect with me. I'm at the.manjan.team on Instagram. You can find me there, and just we're both happy to help answer questions. Just shoot us a DM. Also on my YouTube channel that I put the link for Marie, you can subscribe to that. And every month we drop a new video. I did hire a VA recently because I can't do YouTube by myself. I had to hire out. So what my VA is going to do is take some of these hour-long sessions and break out little chunks of, like, you know, the best 3-minute clip that someone shared here or whatever. So I'm going to start having weekly content on that Instagram for Normal YouTube channel. Where if you didn't catch the whole replay or can't sit and watch a full hour, maybe you at least get like the best 5-minute little piece from some of these presenters. So thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you guys next month. We're always second Tuesday of the month. All right. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.